You're listening to the Wattpad short story reading of The Golden Water Lilies, written and read by Louise van Gas. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and thumbs up for more stories like this. Golden Water Lilies. Juliette placed her bag down in the spare room and couched herself on the bed trying to relax. The drive here took her 2 hours. She feels extremely tired and the throbbing headache is quite bad. It is so peaceful here by the dam. She closed her eyes and listened to the chirping birds. She is lost in her own thoughts and wanders the plains of Johannesburg. There in the field were the students picnicking, where she met Lee for the first time. She remembers how shy he was to meet her. But the charming young man enchanted her so much with his dark hair and blue eyes that she immediately felt head over heels in love with him. She thought of their first night out on the restaurant's porch. He kissed her for the first time and curled his finger around her blonde locks. The best day of her simple life. But then it happened. Their dreams of being a couple were shattered when he had to go to the army. For the first 6 months they could live without each other, closed love. But then he was called directly to the border. Her heart was broken. She missed him so much and didn't even say goodbye to him when he flew to the border by plane. She wrote him many letters that all the men in the camps said that he was one of the luckiest guys receiving them. Today is also one of those days when she misses him so much that life no longer wants to make sense to her. Everyone is worried about her, and so she decides to consider her uncle's offer and go to his vacation home by the pond and rest. Basically, to escape from her broken heart and the family that only makes her feel more depressed. Here at the dam, everything makes sense again, with its nostalgic memories. As a child, the whole family caught nice fish here by the pond and hung out together. And Lee was also here with her at the pond. She swears that her love for him will remain stronger than death, because where she was, there he was. She hears in her mind the laughter of the children, sisters, brothers, nieces and nephews, all under one roof. She sees the turquoise pond, water with the water lilies that never stop blooming. It is like golden jewels growing in the pond with fragrant aromas. With the fresh air giving her courage again, she is looking very hard for hope and faith in herself, and here by the dam she will find it again. She thinks that no one will separate her from Lee. She loves him so much, but the pain is sometimes so unbearable that she feels her life will have to go on somehow. After a few minutes, she sat up in bed and looked out the window. She pulled open the lace curtains. She investigates the house next door and saw a young man sitting on the porch. He stares across the pond, her turquoise pond. She can see him well and he is quite handsome. A thought occurs to her to go and make acquaintance. She loves people and chats well. Perhaps he has a wife and children who can distract her with the empty hours ahead. Then Juliette got that joyful feeling again. It's like she's developing 2 personalities, one moment sad and the next full of joy. This is actually a person who enjoys life so much, but Lee's death, which rests so heavily on her shoulders, does not want to wash away. She wants to go on, but the sadness keeps pulling her down to the ground. She wants to live, but the road is full of thorns, strewn with sharp emotional thorns. Her father always said that everything in life will pass eventually, but at least she doesn't know about that. An open heart is a wounded heart. Oh, Juliette, just forget for a few minutes and see what happens, she said to herself. She walked out the room, out to the porch door, down the wooden stairs and stood in front of the fence. Good day, she called the handsome man on his porch without thinking how audacious she is. She waved her hand and smiled. The handsome man turns his head and looks with a frown at the girl waving on the other side of the fence and stared at her. After a few seconds, he raised his hand and waved back, also with a smile. "Hello," he greets and can hardly believe that such a beautiful girl comes to greet him. Why? She looks like a sunshine goddess in the deepest tropical dark jungle that has just brightened his day for him. Juliette noticed that he doesn't get up at all and her smile disappears. Yet she will step closer. "Sorry to bother you, but is your wife here?" Juliette asked. She couldn't think of anything else to ask. She thinks she will surely regret the question later and wants to kick herself. What a stupid question to ask a strange man. He looked at her very surprised and said nothing. He doesn't get up from his chair either. Juliette stepped even closer. "No, I don't have a wife," he said with the same surprised expression on his face. Juliette is now standing by the wooden stairs. She shoved her hands into her back pocket of her denim pants so he couldn't see her hands shaking. "I saw there were people here and wanted to come and make acquaintance," she says and waits for his answer. "Oh, good morning. Where are my manners?" he said, trying to get up. Juliette marks that the man struggled to get out of a chair and that he has to push himself up. "Sorry, I didn't mean to bother," she said quickly. She took her hands out of her pocket of her denim pants. She immediately saw the artificial leg. "No, don't worry. I have an artificial leg." At the same time, he held out his hand to greet her. "My name is Brendan. Pleased to meet you." His figure rose higher and higher in front of her, and she reached out to greet him back. She doesn't look down at his artificial leg. She's afraid of staring. Their hands meet, and it is as if a shiver runs through both of their hands. Their eyes meet briefly. She felt how her hand melts into his large hand, and for a moment she felt safe. "My name is Juliette," she said, and quickly withdrew her hand. It suddenly felt like she had known him for years. Could she have seen him somewhere? But he doesn't look familiar. They stand still for a while, and Juliette turns towards the dam. She doesn't want to look at the artificial leg, and she doesn't want to allow him to read her eyes either. "I'm here on vacation in my uncle's house." "Oh yes, is that Uncle JP?" "Yes, but I'm only staying a few days." "Are you here on vacation too?" Juliette asked prematurely. "No, I live here," he replied. Juliette was half startled by his terse answer. "All right then, nice to meet you, Brendan. I'll drop by again." Juliette tries to get herself out of the situation quickly, because it seems to her that the handsome man doesn't like a lot of questions. No, wait, I just want to go get myself something to drink. Can I interest you in a glass of soft drink?" he asked quickly, realizing he had been curt with his answer. "I could do with a little company." "That would be nice, thank you," she answered quickly, but also thought at the same time that she should actually be careful. He is a stranger. Maybe she enjoys his attention, or is he so attractive that she just can't walk away? They talk for a while and drink their cold drinks, and he appraised her about his artificial leg. He was in the army and on the frontier. His lieutenant, who led their platoon, tries to save him from a landmine he stepped on. Unfortunately, his lieutenant did not survive the explosion. She could see that Brendan struggles to come to terms with it. Juliette stares at him as he tells his story. She is so saddened by his story that she also tells him about Lee, who died in the army. But she doesn't explorate because she do not really know much about Lee's death. No one wanted to tell her what exactly happened. "Brendan, it's already late, I have to go. I'm so sorry about what happened to you, but you know the saying, 2 sorrows are better than 1. I can understand how you feel, Juliette said sadly. Brendan stares at her without saying anything. She said goodbye quickly and walked home. Brendan struggled out of the chair and walked into the house. 20 minutes later, there is a loud knock on Juliette's porch door. She was just in the shower and her hair is still wet. "Who is there?" she asked. "Juliette, this is Brendan. Sorry to bother you." Juliette stood in a nightgown, wondering if she should open the door. She shook her head, but still walked to the door. On the way, she quickly put on her gown and opened the door for Brendan. She held her breath as the door swung open because he was so attractive to her. "Hello, sorry Brendan, I just took a shower," she apologized, holding her gown tightly at the top of her neck. Brendan said nothing and just stared at her. She frowned. "Is there something wrong?" she asked hesitantly. He extended his hand to her to hand over something. She looked into his eyes and took it. It is a silver pendant with 2 name tags on it. She frowned and walked back under the light in the room to observe. She leaves Brendan right there at the door without inviting him in. She turns the one pendant over and reads a number, 6948322. The number looks familiar to her and she thinks she had seen it somewhere. She turned the other pendant over. There is a name on it, Juliette. She looked up at Brendan, who was still standing in the doorway. She stood petrified. Brendan walks closer after a few seconds. He stands right in front of her, immediately up at attention and salutes her. "Pleasant acquaintance, Juliette. I am Sergeant Brendan Hartley of the Falcon Regiment, led by Lieutenant Lee Steenkamp. It is truly a privilege for me to be able to meet you today," he said, smiling.